Is your current success putting a lot of demands on you? If you're good at what you do, and you are, then everyone wants you. But that's no way to scale. If you're delivering spectacular results, you should be commanding higher fees, working with only the best clients. Welcome to the Hands-Off CEO podcast, where world-class agency owners and consultants learn how to fully monetize their expertise and scale profits by doing less. Here's your host, Mandi Ellefson.
Hello, welcome to the Hands-Off CEO podcast. I am your host, Mandi Ellefson. Today, our topic is how top CEOs are scaling to 10 million and beyond by stepping away. So there are some different stages that I want to walk through today to look at what are these stages scaling from 1 to 10 million. And then what are the three top key mindsets, also structures you need to install in your company. And then I'm going to share with you how you actually go about doing that. So let's talk about the different stages scaling to 10 million, specifically from 1 million. There's no multiple stages before that. I talk about that in chapter 5 in my book, The Hands-Off CEO. Each different stage that you're scaling through has a different strategy, different mindset, different systems that need to be put into place. And I do talk about that in chapter 5, walking through some of those more specific pieces. I want to first look at these three different stages scaling up from 1 to 10 million. And one of them, the first stage is from scaling from 1 to 3 million. And this is a stage where there is so much chaos that can happen at this stage where you have hit this new pinnacle. It's very exciting. You've hit that place, but at the same time, the lack of management in place and some of the sustainability issues that can happen as your costs and your expenses have never been higher. And also the amount of time and energy that is required from you as the leader is also at an all-time high, unless you already have some management in place. If you already have management in place, that's great. And a really good management is going to support you to be able to scale up to 3 million a lot faster. And some of the things that are missing at this stage is also the right offers. And we'll go into that a little bit more. But at this stage, a lot of times we see CEOs saying, you know what, can I even get to 10 million? They don't even see it as a possibility and struggle even seeing it to 5 million, really. That is a place where they're getting stuck. And there's this place where they get stuck at a plateau and they kind of bounce back and forth up to between 1 and 2 million, even, dipping down below the million sometimes. And that stage they can get stuck in for what we see oftentimes is they get stuck between 2.5 to 3 years before they realize, oh, okay, this is actually a plateau. Maybe we should do something different about this. Maybe we need a different strategy because what we have been doing hasn't really been working and I'm just wearing myself out. So that's one stage that happens between stage 1 and 3 million in gross sales, specifically in a consulting-based agency. So then the next stage is from 3 to 5 million. And in that 3 to 5 million, there is this stage where you may have some of the management in place, but you still are quite involved in the day-to-day, even if you're not even aware. You're involved, maybe you're more involved in the actual sales, the growth of the company, and the company can't grow without you. But meanwhile, as much as you're out of the day-to-day and still see a lot of CEOs getting pulled into other different parts of the company. So they might even be saying, yes, the company runs without me, but does it? Does it really? Because when you actually look at it, I know that those same companies that say, yeah, the company runs without me. And then when we get behind the scenes and actually dig into the company, we actually find out the situation is a little bit different. If the service is truly run without the business owner, without the CEO, and they should not be in project management. They should not be in client management. They should be in minimal amount of strategy and most definitely should not be in any operations management. So if you're completely out of all of those things, awesome. That's great. The next stage is how do we be able to get this company to grow without you? And that's really the stage that has the key to scaling from 3 to 5 million is being able to get some of that redundancy in there, be able to have some repeatability in the business model, that your ability to sell more of a repeatable service as opposed to just whatever your sales team can sell to that particular prospect. And that is really a stage where we see a lot of times there's like, why is this so hard? I mean, I see the 5 million when companies are at 3 million, oftentimes they know they can get to 5 million. They know it, but it's like right within reach. How do we be able to get there? That's some of the things that are happening between 3 and 5 million. Now, between 5 and 10 million, now it's really keeping that growth being rinse and repeat and being able to make the growth of the firm be completely independent of the CEO. And it doesn't necessarily mean the CEO is not driving more growth in other areas, but the company can run and can grow without the CEO. And it's also very important that the leadership is being advanced. And that's one of the things that will keep a company from holding them back from scaling from 5 to 10 million, is not having the leadership actually growing and evolving with the company. But in a lot of ways, scaling from 5 to 10 million is much easier than the earlier stages, because there's systems and processes that had to be put in place to get up to that point. And it is a rinse and repeat and just stacking on top of what you have already done. You have to be able to grow leaders at every stage. And developing leaders is a skill. You developing your leaders is one of the key pieces that happens as you transition into the CEO role, especially when you're in the 7 figures and 8 figures and beyond. Like, that is your role, is growing and developing people who then grow the company. But if you're very stuck in the day-to-day and you're like hands-on, the one generating the growth and even running the business, what happens is that your leaders are actually missing out on the opportunity to drive the growth themselves. And then what can happen is the company can plateau, because there's just simply not enough hours in the day if you're not transferring those skills over to your team. So then the company can plateau. And then what can happen is that your team, your leaders, can actually go and find other opportunities where they can continue to advance. And part of that's about money, but it's not all about money. Your best people, they just want to grow and advance. They want to continue learning and growing. And if you are not growing them, and if they're not able to learn something from you, then they might find a home somewhere else, right? This is a very important skill to learn to develop your people. Now, on the flip side, you may also have a company that grows far beyond your leaders. And if you're not developing your leaders, then what ends up happening is that instead of growing people internally, which is going to be what will keep your most engaged people growing and being part of this vision and being fiercely loyal to the cause that you will have to keep on bringing in higher level leaders as you're growing. And it will cause more churn, which can also slow your growth. But it's also a whole lot less profitable if you're continuing to turn over team members. And the best thing to do is to be able to retain your people and to grow them, and to also show your team that there are growth paths within your organization. But those growth paths require you growing your people and giving them opportunities, investing in them and their skills. And that's part of it. But then the other part of it is you being able to help them by instilling the mindsets that they need to be successful, and then investing in the skill sets that they need to have in order to help continue to evolve the company. If you do that, then you won't be stuck in a situation where the company has outgrown your leaders and you either need to hire someone that is above them, which is not always a bad thing. You may grow someone to right where they're at, and that might be just that perfect place for them. But, how tragic would it be if you were finding yourself in a situation where you say you had an operations manager or, an overtitled COO who didn't actually have the skills and the chops? It is holding back the company's growth, and you actually have to replace them. That is a hard situation. And one of the stories that I shared in the book, The Hands-Off CEO, about a CEO who had found his company was stuck at this plateau of 5 million for at least a year, if not more. And it was really frustrating for them. They had quite a fast growth up until this point, but he realized that the company had outgrown this leader. And the thing is that you can develop leaders and give them opportunities so that you can actually retain them and they can stay with the company as it grows. But again, that is a skill set that's important to develop. So aside from, I wanted to share these 3 things that the top CEOs are doing to scale to 10 million and beyond. So the first one I talked about here was developing leaders who grow the company. Instead of you being the one who runs the company, you being the one who drives the growth in the company, you being the one who develops the leaders to be able to do that within your company. And again, like as CEOs, we never stop selling. That's a huge part of what we do. Is we're selling a vision, we're selling the bigger idea, and we're also going after bigger opportunities as the company continues to grow and scale. It doesn't mean that you're going to be completely out of all growth, but you'll have some redundancy within your business so that the company can grow without you. Let's say if you are gone for weeks at a time, you can actually come back to a company that is not in shambles and is actually generating more growth for you while you are gone. Amazing, right? So that's the first thing. Then now there's 2 other pieces that other CEOs of top companies that are growing fastest are doing to be able to scale to 10 million. So the other piece is the right offers. You need the right offers that are going to command the highest price point for your services. Now, that could be the same clients that you're working with right now, and just being able to position the services in such a way where they can actually charge more for the same work. But it's also could be that you're working with the wrong type of clients. Maybe that profit sweet spot client is a much larger company that has the capacity and the ability for you to do your very best work. But it's very important to know that and be able to work with the clients that are going to be able to pay you the most, because you know what? At the end of the day, it's the same amount of work to go and sell the smaller type of clients as it is to build the bigger client. It's a lot easier to be able to sell those bigger engagements than the smaller engagements many times, because you have clients that actually have a bigger budget, a bigger pain point, and they actually want what you have to offer. And you can be able to offer something to them that is much more compelling and exciting. So the right offers for the right clients is going to be a really critical piece to be able to scale the company. Now, a lot of people ask, like, how niche do we go down? Well, here's the thing is we want to be niche about the kind of problems that we solve for the type of clients and the kind of outcomes that we can solve. So the more compelling we can be, the easier it is to command a higher price point. So that is, and that's the irresistible offer. I talk about that in more detail in my book in chapters 8 to 9 in that area. But that irresistible offer is going to be critical to be able to scale the right type of business. And that comes to the third piece, is the right systems to deliver that big, compelling offer. Now, unfortunately, a lot of companies focus on the systems first. Now, here's the thing is, like, you're always going to be building out systems. So it's never a bad thing to be building out systems, except for if you have too many things going on in the business for you to be able to look at and say, what actually is the piece that we want to scale our company? What do we actually want to be known for? And what you don't want to do is take a look at everything in your business and just choose an average of it and build systems around the average. No. What you want to do is look at the top 5% of the work that you're already doing right now, or that you could actually do at a whole other level. And then what you want to do is be able to sell that type of service, that type of work, and then build processes around that. And your team build processes around delivering actual tangible results, as opposed to just systems and processes. Now, here's the thing, the market's moving this way, and consulting agencies are being forced to move in that direction to be able to stay compelling and competitive. If you decide to jump on that train earlier, then your company is going to be able to grow a lot faster before the rest of the market has kind of figured this out. But that's one of the things that we're seeing as a trend, is that so many more consulting agencies are realizing, I've got to have more compelling offer. I have to have this more based upon outcomes. This is what our clients want. They want to know when they're going to get an ROI. They want something that's more tangible, as opposed to, what we were able to get by with before. They want more. And then you need to be building systems and processes to deliver those actual outcomes. And your team also needs training for how to actually think in terms of outcomes versus deliverables. What we have found is that our clients' teams, especially on the operations side, they think in deliverables. Okay, we need to get these metrics and these KPIs, but the problem is that these metrics and KPIs don't actually translate to the result that the client actually wants. And if you don't have them connect to what is important to the client, then they're KPIs that are basically worthless, and they're not actually connected to what your client wants and needs, which will make it harder to be able to continue keeping them in the longer term. What you want is clients that are going to be staying for years and years, as you're continuing to elevate the vision for them. So those are the three things. Again, develop leaders who grow the company, sell the right offers to be able to maximize your price point, and 3, to have the right systems to deliver those tangible, expansive outcomes. Those 3 things are what the top CEOs are doing to scale $10 million companies. We have a Hands-Off CEO retreat coming up. This is specifically for our clients, where we actually help them be able to put these things in place. We walk them through our actual roadmap to get from 1 to 10 million. But then these 3 pieces, these 3 skills, we're actually hands-on experiencing as we're going through the retreat here. So what our CEOs are learning is how to develop leaders. They're learning hands-on skills and expertise, and as they're helping developing their peers as well. It's this really incredible collaborative environment where in person you get to have the opportunity to grow and elevate as a leader, so that you can bring this back to your team. It has the opportunity for you to be able to expand what you think is possible as far as the price points that you can command for your services, the kind of clients that you can work with. And just for example, Tana, who came to one of our retreats, she was able to increase her price point 3 times, 300% increase in her price point, and also triple her company from the retreat. That's what she shared from attending the retreat. Philip, from what he learned at the retreat and the big breakthroughs that he had in his vision and what he saw possible in his company, he was able to go and add another $100,000 of net profit in the next quarter. So just really incredible what's possible. And it comes down to having the right vision for how all of this is in place. Now, these three things are encompassed within is a much bigger, more expansive vision. So you might be listening to this right now and saying, I don't really know if I want a $10 million company. I don't know if I can do that. Is that even possible? Well, if your company is already a 7-figure company, you have great results for your clients, and you'd love to be able to scale your company. Maybe you're not quite sure how to get to the next level, but I'd like to invite you to be my guest at our Hands-Off CEO Retreat. We have limited spaces. As of right now, there are between 4 and 5 seats, so just kind of depending on this one of our clients. We're just waiting to make sure that we reserve a spot for them. Very limited seats here. We'd love to have you join us, and you can get a real taste for what I think is the most powerful part of our work, because here's the thing is that you can't create anything until you actually see it, until you can actually see the vision of it. So how do you be able to create a vision of something that has not been created yet? You have no idea how you're going to get there. And that's the best. The best vision is one where it is beyond what you actually have the skill set to do right now, beyond your ability to know how. If you already know how to do it, that's not really a compelling vision. That's just a small goal. You've already done it. If you already know how, you need to be looking much, much bigger than that. And then also you need to have such a compelling reason why you're doing that. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to drive yourself to take these actions to do that. And here's the thing about this is that the CEO who has a $10 million company, they are a different person. This is a different person who shows up in a different way. And what we're going to do is we're going to help you embody that $10 million plus CEO. We're going to help you be able to show up that way, because we create first by showing up that way. And then what that allows us to do is to take the actions aligned with the results that we want to actually create and see happen. And we've seen this happen dozens of times with our clients. We'd love to have you be part of this retreat. It's so powerful. It's so fun. This is going to be in St. Augustine, Florida, right on the beach, and in the oldest city in the United States, the oldest European city. I was corrected. I'll make sure to clarify that. But it's going to be so much fun, and you'll get to mix and mingle with other CEOs who are these top CEOs doing the right things to scale to 10 million and beyond. If you would like to be considered to have one of these spots at the retreat, again, they're limited. You have to be vetted to attend. What you'll need to do is have a qualification call with a member of our team. And what we'll do is actually see, what do you have going on in your business? Is this a good fit for you right now? What do you want to get out of this? What can you add to the group as well? I mean, this is important because everyone there has something to give and to contribute. And that's the power of this amazing community. So if you are interested, go to handsoffceo.com/scale, and you can book in a time with our team. Just make sure to indicate in the notes there that you would like to be qualified for the Hands-Off CEO retreat. And then we'll just go ahead and jump you forward to make sure that that is put on the calendar, and you have an opportunity to come to this retreat if we still have spaces when you are listening to this. Also, it's October 8th to 10th, 2024. If it's past this date, recognize we have retreats coming up, and we may be able to have some spots coming up for a future retreat. But go to handsoffceo.com/scale, and then you can apply to be at our next retreat. This is Mandi Ellefson from Hands-Off CEO signing off.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Hands-Off CEO with Mandi Ellefson. If you want to work less and make more, make sure you subscribe and get a new episode every week, and help spread the word by leaving a review.